on the October edition of OWTV News. The Midterm Elections 2018. How one PEL major hopes to get out the student vote. Old Westbury excitingly welcomes Dean Marion Andrade. Speaking up, what the hashtag #MeToo movement means to both female and male students at Old West. And finally, to kneel or not to kneel. That is the question for some Old Westbury athletes witnessing the Colin Kaepernick controversy. Hi, I'm Brandon Johnson.
And I'm Crystal Garces. Welcome to OWTV News.
The city of Pittsburgh is still mourning for the 11 lives that were lost when Robert Bowers ruthlessly entered a synagogue on Saturday and started shooting. The government took their lives during several religious services on Jewish Sabbath. The tragedy is the single deadliest attack ever towards the Jewish community on American soil. President Trump visited the city despite the mayor requesting time for the community to mourn and reflect. Bowers has been indicted on 14 federal charges, including hate crimes. SUNY Old Westbury hosted a reflective conversation on campus to stand in solidarity with the Jewish community. Crystal?
American democracy has been under attack, literally. Over a dozen pipe bombs were sent to some of President Trump's harshest critics, including former President Obama, former President Clinton, and even CNN anchor Don Lemon. Fortunately, none of the 14 explosive packages harmed any of their intended victims. The president called for unity, while many critics blamed him for the division and uptick in hate crimes in the country. Cesar Sayek is considered the primary suspect for the assassination attempts. He's currently under custody.
Well, now President Trump is threatening to abolish the 14th Amendment of the Constitution through an executive order.
Now, how ridiculous. We're the only country in the world where a person comes in, has a baby, and the baby is essentially a citizen of the United States for 85 years with all of those benefits. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And it has to end.
The amendment grants natural-born citizenship to anyone born in the United States. In a tweet, Trump said that because the 14th Amendment says, subject to the jurisdiction thereof, it does not apply to the Constitution. The GOP leadership and Democrats were quick to point out to the president that it is impossible to change or get rid of a constitutional amendment through an executive order. President Trump says that he will be willing to let it go to the Supreme Court for a ruling. That's our national news, and now for the latest in campus news.
The Old Westbury mold outbreak has been a hot topic on campus. Pix 11 and News 12 visited Old Westbury to cover the latest on the mold situation at Woodland Halls. Since the stories aired, humidifiers have been placed on every floor to help with this issue. President of SUNY Old Westbury, Calvin Butts, sent an email stating that the cause of the mold outbreak was due to an unusual weather pattern this summer. The campus administration claims that buildings are now safe and students will be compensated for their damaged personal items, as long as they file their claims by November 19, 2018. Brendan?
With the heated midterm elections just a few days away on November 6th, we are taking a poll of Old Westbury students interested in voting. Those who are 18 to 24 are less likely to vote, but it's important that their voices are heard. Alika Noble has the latest.
The midterm elections are approaching on November 6th, and the PEL Club president, John Holst, shared with us how he's getting the SUNY Old Westbury community ready to get out and vote. How does the PEL Club involve in voter registration for students on campus?
PEL Club was registering voters in the campus atrium. We did about 3-4 dates where we just set up a little table. I had my tablet, and you could just take 2 minutes out of your time and just register to vote.
But are OWS students really interested?
Right now in the stage we're in, kind of feel like our voices don't really have that big of an impact, especially in politics and the way it is now.
Especially, 18 to 30-year-olds, like they're the lowest voter turnout participation category there is. A lot of people that are 60 to 70-year-olds, they always vote. So unless 18 to 25-year-olds are going to turn out to vote, if you don't vote, it's basically like giving a vote to those people.
John says his first job is to make sure students know who they're voting for. Jim Goggin, representing the 5th District, running for New York State Senate, came to speak at Old Westbury.
How would PEL gain enthusiasm or interest to the crowd of Old Westbury to get them out to vote in November?
Well, we are going to have a little mock debate the day before the election on November 5th. So we're going to have like, liberal point of view or conservative point of view, and just have pizza and hope a lot of people show up so they can get some knowledge about.
And what can students do at this point? Because I know voting registration is closed. What can they do at this point?
So there's definitely a lot of things you can do. Voting is the most important thing. Getting people to actually go vote is the most important thing. But before that, you go out, you volunteer. There's a lot of different organizations that need more volunteers, and some of them are willing to pay for it. So if you're really curious about, you can go to votesaveamerica.com, and you put in your address, and you can put in, it'll give you areas where you can go volunteer, all different campaigns.
Midterm elections are underway. Make sure to go out and vote, and the PEL Club will make sure SUNY Old Westbury students do too. Alika Noble, OWTV News.
And now, for a new faculty profile, the Westbury community is thrilled to welcome Dean Mary Andrade as the new Dean of Students. She sat with our very own reporter, Judith Amaro, to discuss her new role.
A new semester at Old Westbury has brought with it a new and dynamic Dean of Students, Dean Claudia Marina Andrade, who says she's really excited to be at Old West.
Engaging students of diverse backgrounds became extremely important to me, personally and professionally. And that was the #1 hook during the interview. I left, and I was in the car, and called my husband, and I said, this is it, the students are great.
I love it so far.
Dean Marina Andrade graduated with a degree in graphic and media design from Manhattanville College, but soon after found her passion working with students.
The overall goal and achievement here is to really make sure that the students are well taken care of in a co-curricular or the educational aspect that happens within the student development realm, that happens outside of the traditional education in the classroom. So I want to be able to develop our students socially with equity and celebrating their diversity in all ways possible.
Outside of students, the Dean of Students must wear many hats, serving many roles.
On a day-to-day, the overarching theme of a Dean of Students, depending obviously on the institution, is to manage a couple of departments, primarily student conduct. In my side, it's a lot of Title IX, also managing CSLI, and managing the building that we're in right now, which is our student union.
But the Dean emphasized her primary goal is to have an open door to students who seek her input and guidance.
So I see students on a daily basis on a variety of ways. Sometimes they ask for a meeting and they come in and we actually sit in my conference room and we have conversations. We recently had STAR, Students Together Against Rape, come in and ask me questions. Yesterday I had a girl come in and give me a hug, and she was so happy to see me, which was so nice.
What's most memorable about her first 6 weeks at Old Westbury?
Never experienced the homecoming like this, so I think this is kind of like my homecoming.
Old Westbury is like no other campus, and Dean Marina Andrade says she's excited to take it all in.
What I want the students to know is that I am really here for them. And when I got here, people mentioned like, oh, we have a campus like full of raccoons and horses and deer and ticks and all of these things. And I said, oh, that's wonderful. I want to know about our students because I'm not the dean of ticks and deer and raccoons. I'm the dean of students.
Judith Amaro, OWTV News.
And now with the latest in pop news and entertainment, we have the exciting subordinate judge.
Thanks, Brandon. Hip-hop superstars Cardi B and Nicki Minaj went head-to-head in a social media war. This is round 2 for the ladies after the shoe incident that occurred back in September during Fashion Week. Cardi B accused Nicki Minaj of leaking her new number after the Fashion Week brawl via Instagram. The two stars have been going back and forth with receipts of the drama since September. Sadly, Tyler Perry will be retiring our favorite grandma Madea next year. The character Madea made over $500 million in sales according to Perry. Her time has come to an end. The creator will have a farewell tour featuring Madea in 2019. Tyler stated, "I just don't want to be her age playing her." Many celebrities dressed up for Halloween, and the beautiful ladies of The Real Talk Show stole the stage literally. They dressed up as iconic talk show hostesses that came before them. Tamara Mowry was dressed as Tyra Banks. Love was dressed as Oprah Winfrey.
Welcome to The Real. I'm Oprah Winfrey. We've got a great show for you today.
Jeannie Mai dressed up as Ellen DeGeneres. And Adrienne Bailon dressed up as Sally Jesse Raphael.
Today on the show, trick-or-treaters beware. Hi. Is your candy really?
The show paid homage to the icons they dressed as, with different segments throughout the show. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Suborne, and now in that piece by you. It's been almost 2 years since Colin Kaepernick lost his job after shining light on social injustice in the African American community. Kaepernick's kneeling protest has spread throughout sports, including college sports teams. We decided to check in to see how Old Westbury athletes have responded to kneeling in the new Nike commercial. Suborne Judge has the story.
Colin Kaepernick kneeling during the national anthem in protest to police injustices against African Americans have grown into a national controversy. Many athletes across the sport have joined in the movement, and still others are trying to figure out whether they should kneel or stand on the issue. Coaches and athletes here at Old Westbury are also dealing with the same related issues.
I would definitely support a teammate that has decided to kneel during the anthem. I might actually kneel with him.
Alan McDonald knows there might be a price to pay for what some see as protesting the flag.
I would definitely be willing to take consequences and criticism from fans and my teammates for something I believe is right.
To date, there is no official policy from Old West Athletics that enforces a standard that players should follow during the national anthem.
In regards to players sitting or kneeling during the national anthem, we do not have a department policy. It hasn't really been discussed yet. On the Colin Kaepernick kneeling protests, obviously we're all for supporting protests. It's something that as Americans we take great pride in that.
Athletes using their platform in sports to address social injustices is not unique in history, according to American Studies Chairman Jermaine Archer.
The 1968 Olympics, where those athletes, those track athletes, Tommy Smith, John Carlos, and Peter Norman, I believe, who were sort of calling attention to all the ills that were happening in 1968, and then of course Muhammad Ali. Who was sort of protesting how African Americans were treated during the 60s and his stance against Vietnam. I think we could talk about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, were engaged in politically calling attention to social justice.
And what is the message?
It's really about the loss of life, and that's really what we should call attention to, and that gets lost in translation, that people are dying. He started to kneel, right, because people that lost their lives could never kneel again.
But not everyone agrees sports should be a platform for social injustice issues.
I think that they should probably stick to playing basketball, and if they want to do the other stuff, they can do it on the side, like go work in communities and do everything else.
Still, players are finding their voice on Kaepernick.
And during the national anthem, the kids last year kind of locked arms, I sort of hugged each other together. And stood in a line. To them, they felt that was like unity.
He's also fighting for our rights, so that makes him more of an icon.
Will Alan McDonald kneel during the anthem at a future game?
The thought has definitely crossed my mind a lot.
From the Clark Athletic Center, I'm Suborne Judge, and this is OWTV News.
And now we have Stephen Izzo with the update on our college sports.
Thanks, Brandon. In SUNY Westbury sports news, the Skyline Conference Championship game started Sunday with the Old Westbury Panthers men's soccer team tying Farmingdale State College with the final score of 0-0. The next game will be October 31st against Mount St. Mary College, the #1 seed in the division, at Kaplan Field, with the start time being 7 p.m. The Old Westbury Panthers men's and women's cross-country team just competed for the Skyline Conference Championship on Thursday, October 25th at the Hudson Valley Sports Dome in Milton, New York. The men's team finished in 10th out of 11th place, and the women's team finished out of 11th out of 11th place. Their last and final meet will be for the Nick Russo's Halloween Classic at Branch Brook Park in Newark, New Jersey on Sunday, November 4th, starting at 12 p.m. The SUNY Old Westbury Panthers men's and women's basketball team have begun practicing and scrimmaging other teams. The men's season is set to begin on November 16th at the University of Puget Sound at Memorial Field in Tacoma, Washington, with the start time still yet to be announced. The women's basketball team will start their season against the College of New Rochelle on November 16th at the Bennett Center in Wenham, Massachusetts, with the start time of 5 p.m. Now to the pros. The Boston Red Sox just beat the Los Angeles Dodgers on Sunday to finish off the World Series 4-1. The Red Sox are now 9-time World Series champions. The Red Sox defeated the Dodgers 8-4 in the first game, 4-2 in the second game, 9-6 in the fourth game, and 5-1 in the fifth game. The Red Sox went on to win the World Series in just a 5-game series. The Red Sox have won an impressive 4 World Series in the last 15 years. Congratulations to the Boston Red Sox for another dominant victory. That's sports. Back to you, Crystal and Brandon.
Thanks, Stefan. This year continues to be the year of the woman. Many victims of sexual assault or assault are finally finding the courage to speak out. Crystal Garces caught up with the students on campus to hear their opinion on the METOO movement.
When you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything.
Whatever you want.
Grab them by the you can do anything.
This is Crystal Garces with OWTV News, and I'm at SUNY College at Old Westbury to get student opinions on the METOO movement.
The METOO movement was founded in 2006 to help survivors of sexual violence. The hashtag went viral in 2017, shortly after the inauguration of President Donald J. Trump.
Please describe sexual harassment.
Well, this happened to me at work. My coworker, I gave him a hug, and he grabbed my private parts. And that was, to me, he was sexually harassing me.
My definition of sexual harassment would be, unwarranted, sexual advances without consent, catcalling.
To me, sexual harassment is doing something wrong to another human being, whether it's female or a male.
More than 1 million women are raped in the United States every year.
I don't think it's just about females, but it's everyone just who's experienced uncalled, unprovoked, inappropriate acts without consent towards them.
The untold stories of all the women out there, and men too, who are scared to report the crimes because, there's, it's a lot going around that, even though they'll report the crimes, a good chunk of those times, nothing will be done about it.
These people are predators, and we should be putting them out.
Only 3% of perpetrators serve time in prison.
What do you think about the METOO movement?
I think it's about time, people get together and speak up. Sometimes people like to, throw things on the rug or feel they're not going to be heard. But together in numbers, people are definitely going to be heard. And people are, I think, going to listen more now.
I think it's great that we are doing the METOO movement, and we are putting it out there. These things shouldn't be okay. When women shouldn't feel that, they must cover themselves up or do different things so men could be okay. And, men do get sexually assaulted as well. So the METOO covers everyone.
Crystal Garces, OWTV News.
Before we go, let us get you up to speed with upcoming campus events that you can't miss. On November 10th, Old Westbury will be hosting their fall 2018 open house for all new upcoming students. Spring 2019 registration opens on November 16th, but most importantly, for all residents, the dining hall will be closed after dinner on November 21st and opens on November 26th due to Thanksgiving break.
That's a wrap for our news today. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Brandon Johnson.
And I'm Crystal Garces. Make sure to tune in to our YouTube page for more stories throughout the week. Until next time, have a great day.